From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Well, hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen and proudly welcoming you to this Tuesday's edition of For the People on this August the 1st, 2017, our second hour. So glad that you made it a point to tune in and tell somebody about the broadcast. I mean, when you find something special, you got to tell somebody about it. We try to offer a plethora of items on the broadcast. You know, some people try to hold us down and say, are you just political? Are you just politics? And I said, no, there's other things that happen in the world, other things that make the world go round, and we understand that. And I like to talk about other things too. So we do talk about a lot of politics. There's no doubt about it, but it's not my favorite thing in the entire world. I like to talk about real life issues, things that affect all of us, and something that might affect you or maybe somebody else that you might know about. But here's something did you know? Elon Musk, you might know him as the CEO of Tesla. Very successful guy. Well, he made headlines this past Sunday. It wasn't something to do about a car or some great emerging technology, or how great the company is, or what his employees have done, or what he's doing, or what he's going to inquire. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with something that he's been wrestling with. He suffers, apparently, from bipolar, or at least symptoms of it right now. He tweeted about his great highs and terrible lows and unrelenting stress, with the possibility of even being bipolar, which he later followed up by saying maybe not medically, though. Now, we don't know if we'll ever know after that statement, because maybe it was very truthful. You see, it probably wouldn't be a great thing for his stock or for his employees, but he was being very transparent. Now, while this news may come as a surprise, he's got a lot of people that follow him on Twitter, admire him from all over the world. He has, 10.8 million followers. 10.8. Of course, his company's on the New York Stock Exchange, etc. Many CEOs, apparently, after looking into this bipolar and what a lot of other successful people suffer from, he's not alone. CEOs say that they have experienced similar symptoms during their tenure. And some say it doesn't surprise them at all that Elon may be bipolar, might be suffering from bipolar disorder, because many people with the disorder are highly successful. Did you know that? People with bipolar, usually highly creative people, have a fighter, survival type attitude and are very proactive in self-improvement in an attempt to reach, a lot of people say, and a lot of doctors like Dennis Miller, their full potential. Dennis Miller, he's the former CEO of Somerset Medical Center and Healthcare Foundation and author of Mopping Floors to CEO, From Hopelessness and Failure to Happiness and Success. This doctor is now a leadership coach for many CEOs and says that he also suffers from bipolar disorder, and if he didn't have it, he's not sure he would have been successful. He says, it has given me extraordinary energy to achieve my life goals and exceed beyond my wildest imagination. He says, in my book, he says, I've identified my early struggle with depression as a young man, but once I got the help I needed talk therapy medication, and I think that's the key, folks, talk therapy medication, I have been given a great life. Hear what the doctor says. I have been given a great life. I have been married for over 36 years, parent of 2 sons, and now grandson. Now, I've met people that have had bipolar disorder. Now, a lot of them, what they do, and I don't want to be judgmental, but they've told me they self-medicate. And some of them, they drink. Some of them, they use marijuana. They kind of stabilize them. But, man, when their highs are high and when their lows are, it's kind of, for some, it's kind of scary because it's kind of manic. But they suffer from depression. But if untreated, you're not going to be able to do a whole lot with your life because you can self-destruct. And what I would suggest is definitely getting therapy, talking to somebody that knows something about this, but also getting this doctor's book from Dennis Miller. I don't recommend a book unless I know it's to be good, but From Hopelessness and Failure to Happiness and Success. Again, he's got a big book out, and it's one of the Amazon bestsellers for him. But he's the author of Mopping Floors to CEO. So look for it. From Hopelessness and Failure to Happiness and Success. That's the entire title. Dennis C. Miller. So if you know somebody that suffers from you think they have symptoms of bipolar, and maybe it's you. Maybe you have this. There's help out there, folks. There's help. In fact, odds of CEOs being depressed are quite high. Maybe you're not even a CEO. But according to research from the American Sociological Association Journal of Health and Social Behavior in 2014, the study found that CEOs may be depressed at more than double the rate of the general public, which is currently around 20%. Dr. Sam Oskey, he's a psychiatrist that specializes in mood disorders at University of Toronto, says Musk might not be bipolar. He doesn't know exactly. He hasn't diagnosed him, but he says he may not be bipolar since he hasn't been medically diagnosed. Well, there you go. But could suffer from, something else. Hypomania, which is a milder form of mania, marked by elation and hyperactivity. So there's other things. Hypomania is a good thing, too, he says. Sometimes it's a little high that gives CEOs a willingness to take risks and give them confidence. Oskey tells Fox Business. However, he says that it can turn for the worst when the mania causes them to become severely manic, when they start to hear voices and have problems sleeping. By the way, Winston Churchill and Robin Williams suffered from this type of mania. Yeah, people that, you might not be a celebrity, but this affects celebrities. It affects a lot of the greats in our country and our world. But the first thing to treatment, when I've heard from people that are in the psych business, helping people, clinicians, etc., is the person's willingness to get help. Because if you don't want help, you don't think you need help, you're not going to get help. And if you're exhausting yourself, I got to tell you, folks, life can be so much better while getting treatment. Like so many others I have around the world have found that medication and treatment and talking about it and getting together with a group doesn't mean that you're weak. There's very successful people that have it, but don't let this get the better of you like it did Robin Williams. And listen, there's so many other Robin Williams out there that may not have the prestige of him, which is very shocking, and it was hard to believe that somebody that successful, Robin Williams, with all those movies and all the things that he did, and made so many people laugh. He was funny. He was hilarious. His movies were terrific. He was a great actor, but there was deep pain for Robin Williams, folks. Deep-rooted pain. And this is just a reminder for me, and I thought I'd pass this on to you, that it's smart to get help. Here's a guy who has 10.8 million followers on Twitter and may be suffering from bipolar mania. Maybe similar to Robin Williams and Winston Churchill, like I mentioned. But who knows? Don't let it go untreated. Get help. Mental illness is huge, folks. A lot of people, they could be at their very, very best by just managing it. But by not managing it, bad things happen. So don't be a victim, folks. Get help. Or if you know somebody, a lot of families have loved ones that have this, and it's a very tricky thing to sometimes mention getting help because it offends them. It upsets them. They don't want anything to do with it, and I understand that. But pray for that person. But the best thing you can do is try to get them to a support group, get some literature in front of them, something that they can read on their own. But let them know that you care. I guess that's what we're all trying to do, especially with a family member or a spouse. And I've heard of people that have lived with people that have these type of conditions, and it's very difficult to work with a person or live with a person. You can work with a person that has it, but to live with a person, he can bring you up with them and then bring you way down with them. And you go up to the highs are high and the lows are low, and you go through a roller coaster. And that's the way it is anyway. When you live with somebody, you kind of experience it. But man, when you're suffering from something like that, it could be a whole lot worse. For the people, you got to know this by now. We're all for people protecting themselves in their home. And a 60-year-old woman did just that. She said she wasn't going to take any chances. This happened yesterday morning when she was at home. Okay? She heard two intruders enter her home, grabbing her pistol without even a thought. And she shot one of the would-be thieves dead, according to police. The woman, who was not immediately identified, confronted the two armed men. She confronted them after they entered her home in Harris County through an open garage door around 11:30, according to WTSP, the local affiliate there in Texas. Kathy Hanks, a neighbor, said it's not surprising that the woman fired her pistol when she saw a threat in her home, explaining that's really how we are. That's just Texas. It's the state of Texas. If you're going to go into someone's home, you're just going to get shot. That's the neighbor. You got to love Texas. Harris County Sheriff's Office spokesman Thomas Gillen told WTSP that both intruders, neither of whom were identified, were armed with pistols when the woman confronted them. She fired several shots and struck at least one man who collapsed and died in her front yard. Now, police found a gun next to the dead man's body. His accomplice jumped over the fence and escaped through, but they don't know where he is. It's unclear if he was wounded, though the woman was not injured in the incident, which was a good thing. Police still apparently looking for the second intruder. Described as a man in his 20s, was wearing a dark clothing, red underwear, peeking out of his pants. Red underwear in his 20s. I don't know what it is with people that do that. By the way, the red underwear thing, that just is so weird. It's been going on for quite a while. It's like, I want to show you what I'm wearing underneath here. Let me turn you on or something. I don't know what it is. More underwear, just sticking out, pants down, and it's been like over a decade they've been doing this. But it's just, when I see this stuff, when you go out to grocery stores or somebody in someplace, I just think to myself, can you pull up your pants? God, I don't want to see your underwear. Gun protection.